Hello, everybody, and a warm welcome from cold and COVID-struck Germany. My name is Michael Siebold. I'm the senior partner of the German law firm Arnecke Sibeth Dabelstein, and I'm located in Frankfurt. Some of you may know me, may know our firm from earlier visits and presentations. If not, you will get to know us now. I'm here today with my partner and insolvency expert, Dr. Falk von Craushaar. Falk is also a tax auditor. He, in addition, heads our ASD service company, which is an entity by which we assist companies in practical terms when it comes to restructuring, insolvencies, and even bankruptcies. Let me start by thanking you, our friends at Zhonglun and the China International Economic and Trade Commission for inviting us. We would have loved to be in Nanjing with you, but as you all know, travel and the topic of our today makes it impossible for us to travel. But rest assured, we'll be back in China soon. Falk, the topic is clear. There are many, many issues, but we are being asked to focus a little bit on Europe, on Germany, and insolvency proceedings, both in practical terms and on the legislative side. New initiatives have been issued and begun. Where do we stand today when we look at numbers to get us into it?
Regarding Corona, we can see an exploding number of infections and as a consequence of deaths as well. We also have a lack of intensive care and ventilation capacities. And as you know, we just commenced the second lockdown period, which is all over Europe in place as well as in Germany.
Taking these numbers, what is the effect that you see those are having on our economy?
Well, not surprisingly, we expect shrinking economies all over Europe. This will be about 7% compared to the previous year. And the number of unemployed will increase at the same time. But looking at the capital markets, it's really weird because they seem not to be affected that much because they are pretty much there where they have been before the crisis started. And talking about insolvency figures, insolvencies dropped in August of this year by 40% compared to the August of last year, which is really surprising. Only the major insolvencies, they increased materially, but that is due to other reasons as well than Corona.
Like
Wirecard.
Yeah. What do you see as the reason why these insolvencies have not yet happened?
First of all, we have a massive financing on EU level, as well as in the individual member states. There are guarantee and loan programs, but more important, we in Germany and in a couple of other European countries as well, we have the instrument of the short-time work, which is stabilizing the labor markets remarkably. And in Germany, it was just extended until year-end of 2021, and the access was facilitated. And beside of that, we also have legal measures protecting the debtors vis-a-vis the creditors, as they are landlords or lenders, for example.
And that applies to all of Europe, basically. I know we know specifically well the situation here in Germany, but you would say that applies to the rest of the EU as well.
Oh, yes, yes, it does.
And Falk, in your expert opinion, do these measures actually prevent more insolvencies and restructurings, or is there more to it?
Not only. On top of that, the obligation to file for insolvency in most of the European countries, I would say in pretty all of them, has been suspended. And the responsibilities as well as the liability risk of management has been significantly reduced as well.
I don't see all industries being affected in the same way. Would you say There are some that are more affected, others that maybe even benefit from the situation.
Oh yeah, definitely. There are selected industries which were hit really hard, as there are the hotel industry, aviation, transportation, or no, it's travel, tourism, and of course the stationary trade. And talking about trade, it becomes clear that there are clear beneficiaries from the crisis. All the enterprises which have a internet-based business model.
What do you expect for the immediate future for 2021 when it comes to the end of short-term measures?
Even though, Michael, we will see a number of insolvency in the next year as well, maybe the year after next year, we have seen a number of straightforward measures of the European Union in the last couple of years in order to harmonize the insolvency regulation in Europe with a strong focus, which is important, on restructuring. And this in particular has improved the debtor in possession approach in insolvency proceedings, as well as insolvency plan-based restructurings. And this has remarkably improved the instruments available now for all enterprises in Europe, and has given some support for cross-border insolvencies.
So you mentioned the legislation that has been implemented. So let's move to insolvency legislation as it is underway. What's the status? Where do we stand?
The most recent directive of the EU, which still has to be adopted by the EU member states, just came at the right point of time in this crisis, because it provides for a new instrument which is helping us in the period before a normal insolvency proceedings would start. It's the so-called pre-insolvency restructuring. And this is supervised by courts. Mm-hmm. In Germany, they decided to push this transformation process quite hardly. So it is intended to have the new legislation in place at the beginning of 2021.
In your expert opinion, will that EU directive meet the expectation for the economy to then recover? I wouldn't say fully, but to recover, to sort of get back to a new normal?
Oh yes, definitely. Because this new pre-insolvency restructuring procedure is providing now for the opportunity of a cram down of the creditors without entering into an insolvency proceeding and without any appointment of an insolvency practitioner or a trustee as a third party. And it also reduces the potential liability of management once it comes at the end to an insolvency proceedings.
Well, you see my face brightening up. It looks all good now? Is that what I'm hearing? It's all good, or are there dark clouds out there as well?
As usual, there remain some uncertainties and problems. This transformation occurs very hectically, and the courts are not prepared yet. The necessary software, for example, is not implemented. And we do not have sufficient experience with this new instrument. No supporting court cases are available.
Coming to a close, Falk, your final thoughts specifically with respect to what may we expect in Europe in the next, let's say, 12 to 24 months, assuming that there is a slow move back to what we used to know as being normal?
This is a good and difficult question at the same time.
Hence, I'm asking the expert.
We may not have seen the top of the crisis yet, as there might be additional industries coming into trouble because they are affected indirectly only. For example, as creditors, such as real estate sector or the banks. And so we do not know the eventual dimension of the crisis yet.
Well, thank you very much. And I'm afraid the individual and insolvencies of the individuals will probably increase as well once there's no money coming from the labor offices, etc. Thank you very much for giving us the time to elaborate a little bit on the insolvency and restructuring situation in Europe with a focus on Germany, obviously. Back to you in Nanjing. Have a wonderful rest of the conference. It was lovely to be with you today, albeit virtually. Thank you very much.